I'm Second Lieutenant Cheyenne Smith.
My name is Ansia Chahoy. I'm a First Lieutenant in the United States Air Force, and I'm a chaplain.
I am Second Lieutenant David Collins.
My name is Second Lieutenant Francis Atipo.
I am Second Lieutenant Ashley Whitesell.
I am Second Lieutenant Colton Wells.
So I worked at World Trade Center for the summer preceding 9/11. And on that morning, I was actually beginning my freshman year of college. So I was on my way to German class and listening to the morning radio, which was my alarm for the day. And the music was interrupted by chaos and a frantic news reporter that shared that a plane had just flown into my workplace. And so I ran to a TV. I was in Boston at the time, so the first plane actually came from Boston Logan Airport, which is where we were located. And shortly after that, campus was locked down. All cell phone reception was cut off. There were no communications on or off campus. And everyone was huddled in the campus center, the student center, staring at my workplace on fire. And people jumping out of the windows and everything else that we now know that happened on that day. So I was in Boston and cut off from my family, friends, co-workers, my whole world, which is in New York City.
On September the 11th, 2001, I was 11 years old and I was in 6th grade, English class. And the teacher in the adjoining classroom had come over and told our teacher to turn on the TV, and it was on every news channel. Everybody who was alive for it remembers it was on every news channel, every radio station. All eyes were on New York, and the first channel she switched to was smoke billowing out of one of the towers in New York. And I was 11, I didn't really grasp what this meant. And we all watched live as the second plane hit. And it didn't make sense. Like, I don't know if it was just the enormity of the event, of the shock of it all, or if it was just I was too young.
On 9/11, I was in middle school in 6th grade. I was in my English class, and when that event happened, the school immediately sent kids home. So I rode the bus home, went home, saw what occurred on TV. I didn't fully understand what was happening as a kid. I probably didn't fully understand until I grew up in high school, a little bit after kind of what had happened.
When 9/11 occurred, I was in 3rd grade, and I was about to go to PE, and then they told us that there was a tragic event unfolding and that we had to rush to the auditorium to watch the news. And so I didn't know exactly what was going on because I was so young. But then when I saw the towers getting hit by the airplanes, and mainly when the people were actually jumping out of the building, it really made me realize what was occurring. I felt helpless. Being so young, I couldn't do anything about it. And so later in life, to combat that, those feelings, I became a firefighter myself. And I actually became a firefighter on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So at first I was a wildland firefighter, and that's what I enjoyed doing. But then after going to the 9/11 Memorial in New York and seeing the 343 firefighters that passed away, I went back to school and got that Firefighting 1 certificate on that 20th anniversary of 9/11. So it's just something that really hits home for me, and something that I try my best to pay homage to every year. And I do so even though I'm in a training environment, or I might not be able to firefight at that exact day. Every year on the 9/11 anniversary, I try to do the 110 flights of stairs that they had to climb that day in remembrance of those 343 firefighters that died that day.
For 9/11, I was back in Accra, Ghana, West Africa. I remember I was in primary school at the time, or what is referred here as first grade. And we ended up seeing that on TV. Initially, because I was so young, it looked like a movie to me. I couldn't believe it, what I was seeing. But my family told me it was real. And when I finally moved to the States, joined the military, I got to really get into it a lot more.
So I remember 9/11, I actually was in high school, so I'm aging myself here. I was a sophomore and I was on my way to my second bell class when I heard the news and initially thought that it was our local World Trade Center that we have in Norfolk, Virginia. And it was when I got to my second bell class that I found out that it was actually the World Trade Center in New York. And my teacher was actually from Times Square, that part of New York. And we found out real fast and we had the TVs on, and I just remember it being a very somber day going forward, and none of us really knew what to think about it or how to take it. And then I actually found out a couple days later that my godfather was at the Pentagon when it got hit. He was actually supposed to be in the wing of the Pentagon that got hit, but his client was running late. And he was sitting in the courtyard in the middle due to him being late, and otherwise would have been in the wing. So it definitely holds a close place in my heart for it happening, and I remember it very clearly. And it'll be something that, as far as me goes, it's probably the biggest thing in my lifetime of history this far that I remember current day.
In the months just after, back in 2001, that all of us became New Yorkers was a phrase that was said. In my life, I don't think there has ever been such a clarion call of unity, of national identity, of banding together, of brotherhood of man, as there was in the wake of September 11th.
Never forget means to me, kind of where I already hit, is just doing something to remember them and remember those who served daily. It can be the smallest thing. It could be something larger, just making sure that you keep in mind that freedom isn't free and that you pay respect to those who came before us.
Never forget, to me, what that means. I had the privilege to go to New York a year and a half ago for the first time. I saw the memorial, and it was my first time to actually see that. Whenever I went there, I did my due diligence to walk around the entirety of it, to look at every name. When I saw that for the first time, it really hit me, the sacrifice that the American people made to stop terrorists. There were women with unborn children that didn't have a name, and I made sure to pay my respects to them. I made sure to look at every name. It was an emotional time, and it gave me more of a meaning of service, having a service mindset.
I'll never forget, as a personal one for me, I presented one of the flags to First Sergeant, and he's one of the more stoic First Sergeants that I know, someone who will never crack. But when I presented that flag to him, I later on found out that that member had a family member that died in 9/11, and that was the reason why the tears were running down his eyes. In the moment, I didn't know why, because I thought it was something that happened so many years ago. But ever since, the phrase never forget has stuck with me.
The phrase never forget means to me that we can never be complacent about the terror, the shock, the physical and visceral feeling that came over anyone that was an adult and alive on 9/11. Everything that we took for granted changed that morning.
for me, it's just going to be something that I honestly never will forget, because I'm old enough to really remember where it is. And I've been back to New York several times to see the memorial, and it's just something that I think will forever be ingrained in my mind. And it just kind of reminds me of what we stand for as a country, and you know, why we fight. Freedom isn't free. We lost a lot of people that day, not just military, just in general. And it's just something that I truly feel that we will never forget as a country, as a world, and as individuals.
That's my part of never forgetting. As long as that time has, as much time that has passed between now and 9/11, I never forget the impact that that day had on me, that had on my entire generation, that had on the tens of thousands of soldiers and airmen and seamen, coasties, Marines, that all made the ultimate sacrifice.